FOMO.
My name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and I'm a FOMO Sapiens. And since you're here, I'm going to bet that you are too. And when you're like us and Monday comes around, you don't dread the new week. No, you wake up every Monday morning knowing that this week might just be the best one yet. This is FOMOnday, the snackable show that starts your week right with hot takes, life hacks, listener mail, and even some FOMO therapy. Hey everybody, welcome to FOMOndays, the snackable companion to FOMO Sapiens, which of course will be back with a full episode on Thursday. But until then, happy FOMOnday, best day of the week. I'm your host, Patrick J. McGinnis, venture capitalist by day, author and podcaster by night, and FOMO Sapiens 24/7. Now, on Thursday, I got a really great episode coming your way. It is the wonderful, amazing Agapi Stassinopoulos, who I just super love. She's amazing. You guys are going to love her too. She's so special. She is a woman with a lot of wisdom. She's very spiritual and metaphysical, which usually, I don't know. It's not my world per se. I'm not super woo-woo, as you guys know. But I don't know. She just brings it in a way that feels totally accessible. And, you know, it's interesting. She just knows how to talk to business people. I mean, her sister is the wonderful Arianna Huffington. So the two of them together, power family, you know, Arianna's written a lot about this stuff. You know, she has Thrive, Agapi's involved there. So just, you know, she just knows how to talk about entrepreneurship. She's a super entrepreneurial thinker. She's great. Now, the thing is, when I met with Agapi, she told me about this woman. Her name is Joan. I don't know her last name, actually. Her name is Joan. I call her Joan Breathwork. That's how she is in my phone. And Agapi said, go see this woman. She's been my friend for a really long time, and she does breathwork. Now, I have never done breathwork. I don't know much about that world. I had never done it until that point. And it always sounded I was kind of curious, like I was breathwork curious, but also, I don't know, like it definitely wasn't something that I would have been open to a long time ago. But now that I do meditation every day and, you know, I've done some other kind of stuff, like I do hypnotherapy, as you guys know, I love me some hypnotherapy. Now that I do some of that stuff, I was curious, and I have been trying to find ways to relax better, you know, to take care of myself better, to crush it without getting crushed. And so I was like, let me do this. Let me go see this woman. And I was like, let's do this. But I have to be honest with you, I was kind of like also not quite sure what I was thinking, but I did it. And so I'll tell you about what I learned, because it was kind of wild. But before I do, I just want to talk a little bit about this whole concept of breath, because everybody I talk about, when I talk about Joan Breathwork, says, well, have you read this book, Breath, The New Science of a Lost Art? It's a 2020 book by James Nestor. I have not read that book. I'd like to read that book. I will probably read that book. Maybe I'll listen to it. I'm not sure. But, you know, maybe some of you guys have read it. People say it's an incredible book. So it feels like I should do, because now I am really a convert thanks to Joan Breathwork. Now, here's how it all went down. It was pretty wild. So I went to see her on the day of the New York City, like the crazy fires in Canada, when it like really made it and descended it onto New York. So the sky was like yellow. It was nuts. And she has her place. She has like a little workspace that she works out of. And she's this woman who has been doing this for many years. She's also like a minister of some sort. And she's, you know, kind of like a spiritual type. And, you know, she's really good friends with Agapi. So, you know, just a nice woman and very deep. And so we sat down and we talked a bit. And I explained that I wanted to be more relaxed. And, you know, good breath is good for everything. It's good for your mood. It's good for your blood pressure, all these things. And she said, great. This is how I work. She had studied with this guy called Carl Stough or Stowe. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that, but it's spelled Stough. You can Google it. There's a lot on this guy. And he was a choir conductor and breathing expert whose work influenced many fields, including performance, healthcare, and athletics. He was known for developing a technique which he called breathing coordination. And he actually, it's quite wild. He worked with people with severe emphysema, and he was able to actually get them back into health. He also worked with singers. He was, he's a choir director. And the whole point of what he did was deep, efficient breathing isn't merely about inhaling as much as possible, it's really centered around proper exhalation. By fully expelling air from the lungs, you make room for a natural, reflexive, and more effortless inhalation. Okay, I just read that to you, obviously. Now, what is cool about this is I have tried this Wim Hof thing. Do you guys ever do the Wim Hof? It's like I sound like a dog. It's this whole hyperventilation thing, which is supposed to put you into a trance and relax you. Well, I tried to do that. I don't know. I didn't like it. I can't do it. It's like I have like feelings of dread before I do it. Okay, so I just, no. And also there's a whole ice bath thing, which I'm not doing that yet. So I just felt very effortful to me. The whole thing about Joan is it's effortless. It's effortless breathing. And that is money. So it's like what she does is, and it's kind of wild. She gets you to lay down on this like comfy table. It's like a soft table. It's got some pillows and things, I guess. You put your feet on the floor so your knees are bent, and then you breathe as naturally as possible. And she kind of like moves you in different ways and like pushes on your diaphragm in different ways. Nothing, it's comfortable. It's not off-putting, but it's definitely different. And she basically relaxes you as much as you can to the point where your diaphragm is working as efficiently as possible. And then she has you breathe in different ways and has you sing and hum, which I love to sing. I'm like a shower singer. But you sing and you do different kind of like sort of like not humming, but like, ohms and things like that. And I believe the way it works is, you just get so relaxed that you're breathing so efficiently, it strengthens your diaphragm. And then also the humming and singing relaxes it even more. And so what happened is I was there for an hour and she taught me how to do it. So she's like, you don't need to come back anytime soon. You can do this at home, in 10 minutes in the morning or in the afternoon or whatever. And when I walked out, I was like flying. I had never had that much oxygen in my body in my life. I walked around the city for like 4 hours and I was like in a daze. It was nuts. And so I love that. And I have done that at home. I've continued to do it. And I have to say that it is magical. I have loved it every time I do. I do it every day. I feel much more chill, more relaxed. It just feels great. So I highly recommend you research this. If you come to New York and you want to meet Joan, I can certainly ask her if she's taking people. She's so special. But yeah, that is the power of breath. So I've just been doing it now. And I feel like it's one of these things, like the more you do it, the more natural it is. And then I can, that's crazy. Sometimes I'll just fall asleep. I'm so relaxed right in the middle of it. It's nuts. Okay. So that is the power of breath. And I am super a convert into this breath work thing. I'm a believer, but I do want to share. I want to share with you some very nice tips about how to breathe better after the break. FOMO. See, I just breathed. That was not a good breath. That sounded very effortful. We don't want that. Let's talk about breathing. Okay, here are my tips. I got 9 of them for you on how to just take better breaths. And by the way, this is like a life project for all of us. It really is. Number 1, understand your breath. Like observe. Are you breathing deeply or shallowly through your nose or your mouth? When you get stressed out, do you breathe differently? Just be more mindful of your breath. When you do that, it's really interesting. It's kind of wild. Like think about the fact you have your pulse, right? You're constantly, your heart's beating like, all the time. And how often do you actually think about your pulse? It's wild. We don't think about it at all. Same with our breath. We're doing breaths. You're breathing all the time. We don't think about it. So be observant of these things. It's important. These are like the baselines of your wellness. Check them out. Number 2, practice deep diaphragmatic breathing or belly breathing. And it's really nice to do. And what Joan does, as I just told you, is you lay down. You put your feet up and you just let the diaphragm kind of chill and you put in as little effort as possible. That is very powerful. Put your hand on your stomach. Feel it rise and fall. Very relaxing stuff. Very good stuff. It's nice. Like once you get into this, it's like you just want to do it all the time because you just feel really good. It's nice. Okay. Number 3. This is one I didn't know until recently. Breathe through your nose. Nose breathing is better than mouth. I guess that's obvious because they call people mouth breathers who aren't very evolved. But still, if you breathe through your nose, you filter the air and increase your absorption of oxygen. And the thing about this, I just heard this guy on one of my favorite podcasts. It's the Monocle podcast, which I love, from the magazine. They had this writer on who's an advocate of nose breathing. It's like it's his job is to advocate nose breathing. That's a very specific job. So this guy tapes his mouth shut when he goes to bed, and he ran an entire marathon with his mouth taped closed, or a half marathon. But apparently it's just a lot better. And I've been trying this actually. It's really helpful. Just close your mouth. You put your tongue kind of on the top of your mouth and you breathe through your nose. And if you do that kind of as a habit, actually, it's a good thing to cultivate, and you're going to be in much better health. It's actually really good, apparently, also for your oral hygiene. It's really interesting. So try that. Try that nose breathing. Really nice. Number 4, box breathing. This is a really good stress reliever. I use this too sometimes. It is used by the Navy SEALs. And basically what you do is you inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 4, and then hold for a count of 4. So it's like in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and repeat and repeat and repeat. And that is so good. It just takes your pulse way down, takes your blood pressure way down, relieves stress. Try it on the floor. Again, I think this notion of like less effortful, because when you're sitting up, you're crushing your diaphragm, right? That's what Joan told me. Joan Breathwork. She knows. Number 5, mindful breathing, meditation, 5-10 minutes a day. It doesn't take an hour. Like, wouldn't we all love to have an hour to sit? No, I mean, we don't have that. So let's just do the 10 minutes, set a timer, keep track of it. Very powerful. Number 6, consider doing this before bed. Take a couple breaths before bed. Slow, deep breaths. What I learned recently, we're going to have a guest on the show this season who's an expert in sleep. This guy's so cool. What I learned is in order to fall asleep, your pulse has to be below 80. And one way to get there is breathing right before bed. Number 7, yoga. So yoga is my gateway drug into all this stuff. And it teaches you how to breathe, actually, because you breathe through your nose and you exhale through your nose. It's very, very powerful. You learn how to breathe slowly and match it with your movements and be mindful. So yoga is incredible. But there's also number 8, physical activity. Just being in good sort of cardiovascular health, obviously, really helpful. Some people don't want to do yoga. Some people don't want to meditate. I get it. Find your version. That can be running. That can be something else, cycling. But whatever you do, that just helps with your cardiovascular health. And finally, number 9, hydrate. Good hydration can help keep your respiratory tract clear and makes it easier to breathe. All right, so here are my 9. Understand your breath. Practice deep diaphragmatic breathing. Practice nose breathing. Number 4, box breathing. 5, mindful breathing. 6, breathe before bed. 7, do some yoga. Or 8, do another physical activity. And number 9, hydrate. I think we should do a whole episode on hydration at some point, maybe, because I'd like to research that and learn more. I drink a ton of water. That's probably something you didn't need to know, but I just told you. All right, everybody. You will be back on Thursday. I will be back with you, I should say, on Thursday with Agapi Stassinopoulos, who is magical. So I look forward to seeing you. And until then, take care of yourselves, FOMO Sapiens. FOMO. If you like today's show, please be sure to rate it and recommend it to your friends. And as always, you can find me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis, on Twitter at PJ McGinnis, and on the web at FOMOSapiens.com or PatrickMcGinnis.com, where you can get all kinds of free resources to live a more decisive and entrepreneurial life. FOMO. Want more FOMO Sapiens and FOMOnday? Head over to FOMOSapiens.com, where you can listen to past episodes, learn more about the show, and find out how to advertise. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Patrick J. McGinnis and on Twitter at PJ McGinnis.